Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to our session, Compulsory Reporting in Aged Care. My name is Renika and I'll be conducting this lesson for today. I think before we start, I just want to invite you to introduce yourselves for the benefit of others. I start with you.
My name is Betty. I work for Aged Care Facility Company.
Yes.
My name is Tony, and I'm one of the directors at Southern Coast.
Okay. Over to you.
My name is Tanya and I work at Bethany Waters.
That's good. And yourself?
My name is Shaita. I work at Aged Care Facility.
Okay. So that is good. I think we have the right type of people here, because really we're talking about compulsory reporting in aged care facilities. And I hope that this will be beneficial to you. I hope this lesson will equip you with the knowledge that you need, in this kind of industry that we work in. So in front of you, you'll find that I've put the leaflets there, just summarizing what we'll be talking about today. I've also put in front of you feedback forms. You don't need to worry about them at the moment. You complete them at the end, just to give us a feedback of how you feel the lesson went. And then maybe before we start, I'll pass this around. We've got an attendance form there that I'd like you guys to fill in so that we ensure the director pays you for the training for today. All right, so this is just going to be a 30-minute lesson. I'm not going to take too much of your time. I understand it's the end of the day and most of you are probably tired. Yeah. So for our toilets, we've got our bathroom facilities towards my right. You just turn right there, you go that way. And then for our emergency evacuation procedure, you just follow, where Tanya is sitting, just turn to the left. That's where we meet should anything happen. Right? We'll continue to just watch out for any problems that may arise. And if anyone hurts themselves or if anyone needs first aid, the first aid officer is out there as well. Okay, so as you continue to fill that one in, maybe you can just let me know how long you've worked in the aged care facility where you are.
I've been there for 3 years.
3 years, okay. Yeah, so you enjoy working there?
Oh, I love it. It's
Yeah.
a good experience.
Yes. Okay. So have you always worked in aged care or you've worked in hospitals as well?
I've been in hospitals before.
Okay. So in comparison, what do you think?
I think I quite like the aged care.
You do?
Yes, I do.
Yes. It is a different environment, really, because in hospitals you find people get admitted and get discharged. But in nursing homes, they are there for long periods of time, and you get attached to them. You get to meet their families, and yeah, I think that is what it's all about. All right, seeing that Tony is busy over there, maybe we can jump over to Chaita. How long have you worked in that facility?
For 3 years.
3 years as well. You like it?
Yeah, it's good.
It's really
I
good.
like it,
Yeah. So have you worked in a hospital as well, or you've only ever worked in aged care?
I've always been working in aged care.
You like it?
Yeah.
Yes,
it's good.
yes, it is good. Yes. Over to you. Have you worked in a hospital before?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so you worked at the aged care facility where you are.
Yes, I have.
How long have you worked there?
For 2 years.
2 years. You like it?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Yeah. And being our director here, I suppose you've been in this industry for long. Have you done a combination of both aged care and hospitals?
Yes, I'm relocated from the NHS in England. So,
Oh, okay.
Yeah, where I was one of the directors there.
Okay.
And I've been here in Australia for a year,
Oh, good.
trying to make things work.
Yeah. So are you finding it a bit different, or it's just the same thing?
Australia is fantastic.
Oh, you like it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
The weather
that's
is
good.
good.
Mm-hmm.
It's Friday today, and I'll be at the beach very soon in an hour's time.
Yes, that is the one thing that we love about Australia, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Anytime is beach time. Yeah, yeah, that is good. So I am a registered nurse by profession, but I'm also a workplace trainer and assessor. Thank you very much for that. So I'm also a workplace trainer and assessor, and I'm going to try and we just try to enjoy this. I won't take much of your time. So like I said, we are talking about compulsory reporting, but as you read in some literatures, you find that they talk about it as mandatory reporting, which is something that we would like for us to discuss today. So according to your own understanding, what do you understand by the term compulsory reporting? Anybody?
I think these are incidents where you need to report things like abuse of patients, some of which needs to be reported immediately.
Yes. So I like it because in our session today, we actually have two groups of people. There's the director there, and then we have the staff members. And you find that our roles vary, but at the end of the day, we all have an obligation to report, any kind of abuse. So as we go further down, we'll find out what reportable incidents are. What it is that we need to do, what protection is there for those that report. Okay, so maybe before we start, we'll just look at the learning outcomes and see whether as we go we'll be able to achieve these outcomes or not, and hopefully we do. So our first learning outcome is to assist you guys to gain an understanding of what compulsory reporting is. And we want to, so we've just briefly touched on that, but we'll go, as we go further down, we'll talk about it more. So the second outcome is I would like to assist you guys to identify the key elements of compulsory reporting. I'd also like to assist you to identify reportable incidents. So it's not every incident that is reportable. There is certain incidents that are considered as reportable. And the fourth outcome is to assist you to identify who you can report to and what protection is available for you. Because normally in terms of when it comes to reporting, people are often afraid to report because they think that if they report, they'll get into trouble. But today we will discuss what kind of protection is available for you when you do actually get to a stage where you report. So the first thing that we want to talk about is what is compulsory reporting. And like you rightfully said, it is a reporting system that gives approved providers. So these approved providers could be hospitals, could be community centers, could be nursing homes, but in this instance we're talking about aged care. So it is a reporting system that gives approved providers, for example aged care providers, a responsibility to not only provide a secure and safe environment, but also to report incidents of alleged or suspected abuse to the residents under their care. So if there is any suspicion of abuse, or if there is someone alleges that they've been abused, then these aged care providers have a mandate to report these incidents. So on top of providing a secure and safe environment, they have a mandate to report such incidents. So in July 2007, the Aged Care Act, which is also known as the Act 1997, made compulsory reporting a requirement for all Commonwealth funded service providers, right? And it requires them to ensure that any incidents that happen in the nursing homes are reported, and that the processes and systems to ensure that to ensure that these reports are met, right? So this Aged Care Act in 1997 amended their laws and discussed and decided that all nursing homes or all Commonwealth funded service providers need to report any situations where assault or abuse is reported. Okay. So we want to move on to the next one. It says, what are the reportable incidents? So you'll find that basically what we're talking about here is abuse, but it's not all kinds of abuse that can be reported. There's different kinds of abuse that can happen in facilities like this. These people are vulnerable, these people are old, these people are unwell, some are unconscious, some are just helpless. You find that when someone does something to them, they cannot fight back. They might not even have the courage to speak up. So the Aged Care Act makes it a requirement for nursing homes to ensure such things are reported. So there's different kinds of abuse, like I was saying. There's emotional abuse, there's financial abuse, there's physical abuse, there's sexual abuse, there's different kinds of abuse. But when we're talking about reportable incidents, we're talking about two specific kinds of abuse. And the first one is unlawful sexual contact, right? So this term is used to describe any kind of unlawful unlawful sexual conduct, no matter how it is described or no matter how it has been captured. So, as I was just trying to come up with information to this, it says that, sometimes someone may write you information, like write sexual explicit details to you on your phone. That does not come under this unlawful sexual contact. So this unlawful sexual contact actually covers situations where there is physical contact. So where there is no physical contact, then it's not classified under unlawful sexual contact. So this term really is used to cover situations where maybe you can say, where one maybe wants to describe rape, where one wants to describe, another kind of sexual contact. So this term is just an umbrella name that covers all kinds of unwanted and unlawful sexual contact. So that's the first one that we're talking about. Do you guys understand where I'm coming from? So it's just a broad term that covers anything else, rape and everything. All these come under unlawful sexual contact, but there has to be physical contact for it to be called unlawful sexual contact. So where there is no physical contact, then it cannot be called unlawful sexual contact. And then the second one is unreasonable use of force, right? So this covers any kind of deliberate and violent physical attack on our residents, and this includes hitting, punching, kicking, any kind of pinching, any kind of physical abuse, whether there is evidence of visible injuries or not. So you'll find that this Aged Care Act does understand that in aged care facilities, people are old, people are frail, their skin is fragile. So just because there is bruising, or just because there is skin tears, or just because there is fractures, it does not necessarily mean that there is evidence of unlawful use of force, right? And just because there is no bruising and there is no fractures and there is no skin tears, it does not mean that unlawful physical contact hasn't happened, right? So you don't have to have bruising for it to be called unlawful physical contact. So sometimes, that physical contact, that unlawful physical contact can be reported. So it can come with the bruises or without the bruises, right? So you understand what I'm saying? Yeah. Okay. So these reports really should be made in good faith. The people providing these kind of reports, people reporting these incidents should make these reports out of good faith. It should not be done just because I don't like this person. It should not be done just because this person has treated me bad and I want to get back at them. It should be done in good faith, and it should also avoid providing false or misleading information. So when you actually make these reports, they should not just be based on the fact that you don't like this person, but it should be done in good faith. There should be evidence of what you've seen, and or suspicion of what you've seen. It should not have anything to do with how you feel about this person, how they've treated you in the past, right? So the compulsory reporting, how in aged care facilities, really, it's not just in aged care facilities, but in hospitals as well. When people are admitted, they provide you with all sorts of details. They provide you with their personal details, their date of birth and everything. They provide you with their past medical history. They provide you with their past surgical history, they provide you with their social history, something that they would not readily discuss with anyone. These things they provide to you because they are trusting that you keep it confidential for them. They are trusting that you will help them. You will not use these issues, this information that you know about them in a way that is malicious. So we call this confidentiality, right? But compulsory reporting overrides confidentiality. It overrides. So when we are talking about compulsory reporting, we are free to discuss this patient's name. We are free to discuss what happened to them. We are free to discuss any other things, pertaining to their past histories or their present medical histories that links to this compulsory reporting. So health professionals have a duty of care to look after the residents, right? They also have a duty of care to report any incidents that may happen. They have a duty of care to start to divulge and override this confidentiality that we're talking about. And you also have to note that because I've said compulsory reporting overrides confidentiality, if we don't report, then we can be sued for breach of duty of care. Okay, so we have a duty to report. We cannot ignore these situations. This is why at the beginning when I spoke about this, I said that even if it's alleged, even if it's suspected, if you suspect that something is wrong here, something is not right, it needs to be reported, right? Even if you are wrong, it's the investigation that will prove that, this did not happen or this actually happened. So whether you suspect or you actually see something that looks wrong, report, because if you don't and it is found out that you knew, you can actually be sued for breach of duty of care. So maybe the next question now, after we've spoken about the reportable incidents, we now understand what our duties are as health professionals. What the Aged Care Act requires of us. We've discussed the reportable incidents. Now maybe we want to find out, who can we report to? Okay, I've found out that this person is being abused. This person is being beaten up. This person is being punched or is being kicked by a fellow worker. Who do I report to? Right? So there's actually 3 kinds of people, maybe let me say 4 kinds of people that you can report to. You can report to the manager of the facility or the key personnel that have been chosen by the facility as being being professional enough to receive such reports, right? So these two really are one and the same thing. It depends on who is there. If the manager is not there, then there should be a key person that has been nominated by the facility or delegated by the manager for them to receive reports. And then the second group of people are police officers. We can report, all these incidents to the police. Sometimes we may feel that we don't want to directly go to our managers because we fear that we're going to be threatened, we fear we're going to be victimized. If we have those fears, then we're free to report either to the police officers, which is the second group, or to the Office of the Aged Care Quality and Compliance, which works hand in hand with the Department of Social Services. So you have all these people that you can report to. And what is interesting about this is when you report to the police or you report to the Office of the Aged Care Quality and Compliance that works hand in hand with the Department of Social Services, it's up to you to report openly or anonymously. Right? It's up to you. No one can force you. Tell us your name before you actually report. Right? But what we need to know is that there is protection that can be provided for people that openly name themselves. If you don't tell us who you are, then we cannot protect you in any way. So if you actually tell us, okay, I'm so-and-so calling in relation to this and this and that for this particular resident in a particular nursing home, then there is protection that can be offered to you. We'll discuss that further down. So what I want us to talk about now is the 5 key elements of compulsory reporting. The first element is that approved providers, for example, aged care facilities, is in this sense, need to encourage their staff to report alleged or suspected assaults by providing training, which is what is happening today. So nursing homes or aged care facilities have a duty to provide training for their employers so that their employers get an understanding of what reportable incidents are and who to report to, how to report, and when to report, right? So the second one is the nursing the second key element is to ensure all allegations or suspicious circumstances are reported. So in this regard, I'm talking maybe to Tony over there that after the staff have reported to him as the manager, he now has an obligation to pass on the message to the department. Right. So even though as care workers or as registered nurses, you can still report directly to the police officer or to the department. If you decide you don't want to go that way and you want to report to your manager or the key people that have been delegated, those key people have an obligation to take that report and forward it to the department. Right. So this is the second element that we're talking about, that they need to ensure all allegations or suspicious circumstances are reported. An exception applies to those whom prior to the allegation have been assessed as suffering from cognitive or mental impairment. Right. So we have people, I'm sure you have, as I was walking into the facility, I noticed that you guys have a dementia-specific unit. So in that dementia-specific unit, you find there is people that have been assessed as having cognitive impairment. So the reports cannot be made about them if an assessment had already been done. So if someone is admitted today into a dementia-specific ward and they are assaulted before an assessment is done, that is a reportable case. But if they have been assessed already prior to the incident, then it doesn't need to be a reportable incident. But what needs to happen now, for the benefit of Tony and everybody else who is in management, those assessments that prove that this person has cognitive or mental impairment need to continue. And the managers and the registered nurses need to continue to show us what it is that they are doing to make sure that a similar incident doesn't happen. They need to show us they need to show the department, what measures have been put in place to ensure the safety of this resident or the safety of other, the residents in a similar situation. So do you understand what I'm saying? So what I'm trying to say is, in a dementia-specific unit, we've got two people. One is admitted today. Yes, they have been admitted into a dementia-specific unit. If an assessment hasn't been done or an assessment hasn't been made to confirm, the diagnosis of cognitive or cognitive or mental impairment, and if they're assaulted before that assessment is made, what it means is that is a reportable incident. Right. And then on the other hand, we have a resident that has been there for a while. An assessment has been made an assessment has been made, and there's an official diagnosis that says, okay, this person has dementia, this person has Alzheimer's, this person has whatever kind of mental instability. Then when this person is assaulted, because a diagnosis was made before, a diagnosis was made before the assault, then it doesn't become a reportable incident. But then even if it's not a reportable incident, the facility still has an obligation to show us what measures continue to happen in the facility to protect this person. Right. Some measures can be, if it's a staff member that has assaulted them. Maybe they can show us that, okay, this staff member has been stood down with full pay whilst an investigation is taking place. Okay, this person has been put in this area. Maybe the occupational therapists or social workers are coming into play to show us, how we can keep this person occupied, how we can, turn around the situation really and keep them socially active so that, this doesn't happen again to them. So nursing homes have a duty to show us what it is that they are putting in place to protect this person that has been assaulted. So the third key element is these incidents need to be reported within 24 hours to allow for immediate intervention. So you may find that these incidents, when they happen, sometimes they may happen over the weekend, but you find you have your managers, they are on call, and when they are on call, you call them for such incidents. I'm sure you have that in place, Tony, right? Yeah, so people are allowed to call, and say, okay, it's a Friday, we know you're off, manager, or it's a Saturday, but we have a reportable incident here. This is what has happened. As a manager, we are telling you, and he or she has to take action from there to allow for immediate action from the department. So the fourth key element is to protect the identity of the staff member that is reporting. Most people don't want to report because they are afraid of being threatened. They are afraid of being victimized. They are afraid of losing their jobs or any things that may start to happen to them for the mere fact that they have reported. So if a nursing home understands that they have to protect the identity of this person, it not only encourages this person to report further incidents, but it also encourages other staff members to report because they know protection will be provided for us. The last one is the Department of Social Services may take compliance action if the compulsory requirements are not followed or met. So what it basically means is that if the department finds out that there is a person that is being assaulted or abused in whatever sense, the two points that we spoke about. If the department finds out that this is what has been happening, it's been reported to the facility manager or to the CEO or to whoever is in charge of receiving complaints, and then these people have not reported to the department, then the department has a mandate to take compliance action. They have a mandate to deal with the facility, find out why hasn't this been reported. So even if these issues are reported, the nursing home still has a mandate to protect, like we said, protect the identity of the staff members reporting. So if that does not happen, then the department can take compliance action against the facility. So those are the key elements of compulsory reporting. So staff can report directly to the department, like we said, and if not comfortable, they can report to the aged care facility. If not comfortable, they can report to the department or to the police station. So reporting staff are protected from any kind of civil or criminal liability. The next point is protection is offered. This kind of protection does not apply if the staff member who is reporting is actually the perpetrator. So what it means is if someone abuses a patient or a resident and rushes to report this issue, they are not protected because they are the perpetrator. So this kind of protection only applies to people that have witnessed or have reported but have got nothing to do with the actual assault. And then the next point is protection is offered if contract of employment states that the employer should not discuss issues relating to the nursing home with outsiders. So you find that when you sign your contract of employment at the beginning of the time that you start working, you're actually saying that I agree not to discuss issues that happen where I work with outsiders, which is the confidentiality that we're talking about. So now if you have reported and you are facing termination of employment because you've breached your contract, then protection is offered to you. That's where protection is then offered to you, because the facility cannot then terminate your contract for breaching confidentiality. What they should be worried about is you breaching your duty of care, not breaching confidentiality. We spoke about this one. Protection can be offered for staff members from victimization, persecution, threats, for making the disclosure. We've spoken to that one, and we've said that if the nursing home or the facility doesn't protect you from this kind of discrimination or this kind of threat or victimization, then the department can take compliance action. And then there's a number of people there. So as health professionals, we have the managers, we have the doctors, the registered nurses, the care staff. We all, even the kitchen hands, everyone that works in the facility has a duty to report any kind of assault that is taking place or that they suspect is taking place. But residents themselves don't have an obligation to report such situations. The families don't have an obligation. Advocates, the public advocates, some residents don't have family members, but they have the advocates that represent them. So these people don't have an obligation to report. Visiting medical practitioners also don't have an obligation to report. Volunteers and visitors don't have an obligation to report, but they are strongly encouraged to report if they see such things happening, right? They are strongly encouraged to report. It's up to them. They report openly, they report anonymously, but the difference now is that protection is not offered for them. The kind of protection where I was talking about, there is no criminal or civil liability. This is not offered to them. It's only offered to the people that are employed by the facility. I know it seems like a bit of a mouthful, and it seems like I've been just doing most of the talking. Do you want to just discuss maybe the things that stuck out for you? What is it that you really felt, okay, maybe I didn't know this, or I think this is an interesting point? Anything that you want to discuss?
Oh, I didn't know that you have to report within 24 hours. I thought you can do it, in the next day or 2 days. So, yeah.
It can happen that, in some situations you find people report later. That's not a problem. Even if it's reported later, we can still the department can still investigate, but it is encouraged to report within 24 hours whilst people's memories are fresh. The circumstances of the abuse are still fresh in people's minds. So that way we have real facts, we have the exact description of what happened. So even if it happens after, sometimes some people may be afraid to report, and then when they go home, they talk to their spouses say, I think that's a reportable incident. I think you should have reported that. Or they later knock off and catch up with a friend from work, and the friend says, well, I think you should have reported there. Then they are still allowed to come back and report. Right. Is that, yeah? All right. Anybody else?
It's good training.
Yeah.
We've learned a lot today.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody else? Yeah.
You said an advocate is not under obligation to report an incident. What if it involves his client? If it is his client who has been abused?
Like I said, he has no obligation, but he is strongly encouraged to. So I'm not saying that he should not report, but I'm saying that he is strongly encouraged to report. He is not obliged to do it. But I guess you're seeing that he's looking after this client, he has this client's interests at heart. Then he is strongly encouraged to report. Maybe the difference now becomes in the fact that, all that statutory protection that I was talking about does not apply to him. Yes, so that is the difference. So everyone really has an obligation to report. The staff, the visitors, the volunteers, everyone needs to report, right? Is strongly encouraged to report, but they cannot be found guilty of not reporting. The last set of people that I spoke about, they cannot be found guilty of not reporting because it's not an obligation for them. Although they are strongly encouraged, it's not an obligation. Is that okay? Anybody else? Yeah, maybe just to revisit our outcomes there and see whether we actually met them. We said the first one was to assist you guys to gain an understanding of what compulsory reporting is. Do you think we have achieved that? Mm-hmm. Is there anybody that wants to say something about the first outcome?
I think it's clear.
It's clear.
we've understood it.
You've understood that one. So the second outcome was to help you guys to identify the key elements of compulsory reporting. Maybe because there is 5 of us here, if one person can just state one key element that you remember, or one key element that stuck out for you.
Unreasonable use of force.
Mm-hmm.
Unlawful sexual contact.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
That they have to be reported within 24 hours.
Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. So the fourth outcome there is to identify who they can report to and what protection is available. So there's 4 groups of people that we discussed that people can report to. Do you just want to help state who we can report to?
Police officer.
Police officer, yes.
Manager.
Manager, yeah.
Department of Social Service.
Yes, that's the one. And maybe any key people that have been nominated by the manager. So if the manager is not on duty and they've nominated probably the deputy manager or a senior staff member to receive any of these complaints, then those are the 4 people. Yeah, so I think we've met all our actually there is a second half of that outcome, and what protection is available for them, what protection is available for people that report. These people are protected from civil and criminal liability. You remember that point? They are protected from termination of employment. Anything else that you remember about threats, about victimization? Okay. Is everybody happy with what we've achieved today?
Yes.
I've got a question.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know how you said that we can't talk about the incident from to outsiders?
Mm-hmm.
What about if it's a fellow, like a person that works there but wasn't there at the time?
I think you can actually talk to them, but talking to them and reporting are 2 different things, right? You can talk to them in terms of discussing, but when it comes to reporting, then there's key people that we should report to. Because talking to them at the end of the day may just end up seem like just talking, just hearsay or just gossip, but it does nothing to help the person that is being abused. So you can talk to your fellow members, maybe in terms of asking for advice or maybe trying to get courage of how to report, but at the end of the day, an actual report has to be made. Is that clear?
Yes.
All right. I think we've come to the end of the lesson for today. Any other questions? All right. Thank you so much. You guys have a great day. Just remember to fill in the feedback forms that are in front of you. Just try and complete as much as you can. Don't even worry about what I will think or anything. And then, I'll just collect them at the end of the lesson. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you.